Hello to everybody. Welcome. So, this is primarily where we can talk about horses. So, if you guys have any questions about horses, feel free to write them in the chat and I will get to them. We're also going to talk a little bit about kind of horses in general. Guys, if you have any questions, write them in the chat. We're also going to talk about horse things in general. So I'm kind of going through my whole bag. And I am going through my tack bag and figuring out what I have and organizing it. Now, I don't have all of my tack with me, because that would be a lot of tack. But I have some. So I'm going to show you some, and then I'm going to talk about why it might be important to use that type of equipment. So let's start off with horse treats. Every horse loves treats, okay? Every single horse loves treats. Depending on the horse, you might have different treats. I have these horse treats because these are the ones that I found. They kind of look like little pig snouts. These are the Rounders horse treats. You can find them at the equestrian shop. They're really good. Horses really like those. So then I have this thing. This is called a riding crop. There are multiple kinds of riding crops. Again, these can be found at the equestrian shop. So a riding crop is essentially a visual aid. It's visual. You can see it. A riding crop is a visual aid that you use behind your leg to get the horse to go if they're not responding to your leg. Like I said, there are many different kinds of riding crops. So the next thing, for me at least, is very important because I feel like you cannot ride without them, are riding gloves. So my riding gloves, these ones, I have a ton of pairs of riding gloves. I have multiple pairs. These ones, let's see, where did I get these ones from? I don't remember where I got these riding gloves from, but these riding gloves are awesome. These are my summer riding gloves. They don't let my hands get too hot or sweaty. They keep them at a nice temperature, and they also have this inside so that you can grip your reins and still have connection. I love these riding gloves. I have another pair that used to be my summer riding gloves, but they are kind of dirty and destroyed. These ones I got Noble Outfitters. These are another good brand. Those are another good brand as well. Noble Outfitters are really good. So let's see. What else do I have in my tack bag? Apparently I'm losing gloves here. I have these gloves, which I primarily use for show. These are SS6. These are good riding gloves as well. And I have, again, some other riding gloves. But I also have a pair of winter riding gloves. Winter riding gloves are really important. These I've had for a while. You can see they're really worn out. Riding gloves are so important because if you don't ride with gloves, at least in the beginning, you're going to get really bad blisters right between your fingers where you hold your reins. That's not fun. I've had really bad blisters where I couldn't hold my reins. and I had pretty much no control over the horse because I couldn't move my fingers after I rode. So this next thing that I have is called hoof ointment. It's called hoof ointment. And essentially, hoof ointment is really good for their hooves. It helps strengthen their hooves. And it also encourages healthy hoof growth. So that's something to really help your horses. And then you have your basics. So you have here a curry comb. A curry comb is used to get off all the dust and the grime off your horse. So there are multiple kinds of curry combs. This is just one kind, but there are also many other kinds. There are curry mitts or gloves where you just stick your hand in and then you curry your horse. So what do you do with a curry comb? Curry comb, you go with the grain of the hair on the horse and you just rub it in circles just to kind of release the dirt and grime. These are really good. You can find them at the equestrian shop. A lot of equestrian stuff you can find at the equestrian shop, or you can find them at Dover Saddlery. Both of them are really good. Both Dover Saddlery and the equestrian shop are really good. Find a lot of it, like horse treats at Dover Saddlery. For me, I just feel like the equestrian shop is cheaper and is closer to my house, so I prefer to go there. So the next thing you're gonna want to have is called a stiff brush or a hard brush. And you can see it's really stiff. So essentially what that does is it takes the dust and the dirt and the grime that you have from your horse that you just dug up with your curry comb, and you go and you just wipe your horse like that, and it gets rid of it. Again, you can find a lot of this at the equestrian shop or Dover Saddlery. So next thing you want to do is make sure your horse's hooves are clean, right? Because you're not gonna have a good horse if your horse's hooves aren't clean. So you have this handy dandy little tool. This handy dandy tool is called a hoof pick. A hoof pick is really useful for cleaning your horse's hooves out because this pick part is what you use to get real dirt and grime, and then you can use your brush to kind of clean that all out. So something else that it is also good to have in your tack bag. God, I have a lot of junk in my tack bag. It's not very useful. Is, especially when you're getting ready for a show, how are you going to get nice horse hair? So that's where this comes in. This is a mane and tail brush. I use this on my horses because it's really useful for getting out knots and everything. So you don't want to start at the butt of the horse where the horse's tail meets the horse's butt. Do I have a shaving in my hair? Probably. Because that's just ripping out the horse's hair. You start where there's no bone. Sometimes I use this, to be honest. Sometimes I will use my own horse's mane and tail brush because essentially it is a hairbrush. I haven't even brushed my hair, so this is good. I can brush my hair. Okay. So that's really good to have as well. So much stuff. So I, in the winter, tend to have extra pairs of gloves in my bag for after I ride to keep my hands warm. So I also have odd things in my bag. Don't ask me why. Okay, ton of horsehair on my computer here. So this is called Mall Butter Alpha. And this is for a horse's mouth. And it's soft as butter. So what you're going to do is this protects the skin of the horse in case it has a sensitive mouth. This is really good to have, especially if you have a sensitive horse. And if you have a horse with a sensitive mouth. It's also really good to have. I have a ton of horse treats at the end of my bag because my horse decided, let's dump all the treats into her bag. So he dumped all of my horse treats into my bag and placed the bag next to my tack bag. Drove me bananas. Just drove me bananas. So guys, it is also important that you do have closed-toed shoes in the barn. If a horse steps on you, you don't want to break a toe. Even with open-toed shoes, you can still do that. Or there's much more of a risk if you're wearing open-toed shoes like sandals than if you are wearing closed-toed shoes like these. Or your riding boots, dependent on whether you're riding English or Western. So that's the basics, pretty much. That's pretty much the basics for a horse. So then what do you need to do? Okay. I have all of my things, so now what? Now what do I need to do? Well, let's see.